after the Epiphany, but it's also the optional memorial of Saint Raymond of Penyafort. And I will talk a little bit about him, not a whole lot to say. Just want to remind everybody that for the rest of the week, I guess, well, Friday, tomorrow we have Mass at 8 a.m. And then on the weekend, we have confessions at St. John the Baptist from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 4:15, and then Mass at St. John's at 4:30. That's on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, there's confessions starting at 8 a.m. At St. Michael's, going to 8:30, and then there's Mass at 8:45 a.m. at St. Michael's, and then a 10:30 Mass at St. John's on Sunday. So that's our weekend schedule. Um, I guess I do want to encourage everyone to pray for our country. Obviously, the um, incidents of yesterday at the Capitol are very disturbing in our country, and that we tend to pride ourselves that it's not mob rule in our country, that even though we may have disagreements, we can respectfully discuss them and work out through elections or work out through legislation or even through the courts solutions, peaceful solutions to our um, differences. So to see images of rioters just storming the Capitol building and making their way through there and damaging it, and the loss of life, the destruction of property, horrible, and something that we can't condone. So we want to definitely first pray and pray for all of our government leaders that they can find a way to rise above the divisions that seem to be so prevalent in our country and seem to be deepening instead of um, not deepening instead of becoming less. And so we definitely need probably to turn to our Blessed Mother, especially since she is the patroness of our country under the title of the Immaculate Conception, and ask her to intercede for us and to help us. And we do our best to be respectful, to respect each person as created in the image and likeness of God. And so violence is never a viable solution to any kind of disagreement. I think, as Pope St. John Paul II always said, violence is always a failure. And so we saw some of that failure on display yesterday, unfortunately. And so let's continue to pray. And if we can fast, offer any kind of sacrifices too. We don't want to underestimate that ability also. So that's just a brief reflection on some of that. Last night for our holy hour, we did a holy hour for peace in light of uh, what had happened in Washington, D.C. And as I mentioned, today is the optional memorial of Saint Raymond of Penyafort. He's a Dominican priest in the 13th century, mostly. See if I got a date for when he was born. 1175, so right around the end of the 12th into the 13th century. He lives. Seems a very intelligent man. Studied a lot of civil law and canon law. He's actually the patron saint of canonists and lawyers. And so he was studying, I think, in Barcelona, because that was one of the main areas of, along with like Paris, as a center of learning in that time. And uh, so it seems like he would have at some point crossed paths with Saint Dominic. And 8 months after Saint Dominic dies, Saint Raymond, seeks to be admitted into the Dominican order. He does that. One of the things he ends up doing is being called to Rome to be the confessor for Pope Gregory the Ninth. And he encourages the Pope to care for the poor. And so St. Raymond has this great affinity with the poor, and is known for his care for them. Also, then, too, he is best known for his work as a canon lawyer and collating all of the different decrees that had come about. So, as you can imagine, canon law goes back really to the 4th century, but over the years, things are added to it, and so every once in a while, someone is kind of collects it all and puts it into a kind of looks and sees if there's discrepancies or if there's things that don't necessarily agree with each other, or whether certain things have you know superseded other laws, however it works. But so Gratian is one of the ones that is best known for doing that. And then Saint Raymond's the kind of the next one who was charged by Pope Gregory the Ninth to kind of collate it all uh, into a usable document, maybe you would say, or collection, a usable collection. And as it's described, he's kind of that bridge between the medieval canon law and modern canon law, because you can kind of you can follow his work, his, I think, 5 volumes he ended up putting it into, directly kind of leads then to the 1917 code, and then that 1970 code leads directly to our 1983 code. So, like I said, that was what he was best known for. He lived a really long time. The estimates are that he lived to be like 90 or 99, somewhere in there, so into his 90s, um, which isn't so bad in the um, 1200s. And a lot of it too, he spent at that time in Spain, preaching conversion for the Moors. And so that was, I think, a large part of his the latter part of his life. But it was kind of like 30 some years, because he retired. So one of the things he also did was he was the Master General for the Dominican Order, and so one of the, I guess, kind of reforms that he did was he put in there that that the master could retire for a good reason. If he wanted to resign, it was possible. That I don't think was part of the rule at that time, and so it was passed. And then he used it to resign at 65, saying that he was old enough, and then he ends up living another 30 some years. So St. Raymond has a very interesting life, but if you know any canon lawyers out there, today's a good day to pray for them or wish them kind of a happy patron feast day. And we realize, that without rules and without laws, that things are not as good as they can be. So canon law is always there to help us. It's not about keeping us from doing things, but the law is always there to kind of help to guide us and draw us closer to God. So we'll ask for St. Raymond's intercession this day, and we'll continue to look out for each other and pray for one another. And I'll pray that God blesses you abundantly this day.